When you hear the word audit, what's the first thing that pops into your head? For a lot of us, it's this feeling of dread, right? Like a big, stressful exam you just have to get through. But what if that's completely the wrong way to look at it? Today, we're going to dive into the art of the audit, and you'll see how it's not just a test to pass, it's actually one of the most powerful tools we have for being great at what we do.
Okay, take a look at this quote. A JAXI audit, for context, is a huge deal in the medical world. And this sentiment? It's over. I can relax now. It's so common, but honestly, it's also kind of dangerous. It's this mindset that the audit is just a finish line you stumble across. But as we're about to see, that completely misses the point of why audits exist in the first place.
So here's our game plan. First, we're going to flip the script on what an audit is really for. Then, we'll nail down a super clear definition and check out the different types you'll run into. After that, we'll break down an internal audit step by step. And we'll wrap up with the most important part, how you take what you find and turn it into real, lasting change.
All right, let's jump right in with the biggest idea we're going to talk about today, getting over that test mentality. If you can make this one mental shift, you unlock the true power of the whole audit process.
This right here gets to the absolute heart of it. An audit isn't the final exam for your quality system. It's more like a regular health checkup, you know? It's a living, breathing part of how you manage things, always learning, always improving. When you see it as a starting block, every single audit, whether you ace it or not, just gives you fresh data to run a better lap next time.
Okay, so if it's not just a test, then what exactly is an audit? Let's get a really crisp definition on the table so we're all talking about the same thing.
Now, the words here are so important. It's not just a casual look-see. It's documented, meaning there's a paper trail for everything. It's systematic, which means it's planned out, not just random. And it's an evaluation to check one simple thing. Are you actually doing what your own rulebook says you're doing? It's all about making sure your reality matches your plan.
And the purpose? It's so much more than just finding faults. Yeah, of course, it's about spotting problems and trends, but look at those last 2 points. An audit is also about finding opportunities to get even better. And, this is huge, it's about proving what you're already doing right so you can double down on those strengths.
Now, it's super important to get this. Not all audits are the same, not by a long shot. Depending on who's doing the looking and why they're looking, the whole thing can feel very, very different. The two big buckets are internal and external. Think of an internal audit as having a friendly critic from within. It's someone on your team who isn't directly in charge of what's being audited, giving you honest feedback. An external audit, though, that's the outside world looking in. It could be for a big certification or an official inspection. You need both. One gets you ready for the game, the other is the game itself.
And you've got a few other flavors, too. Third-party audits? That's when you audit your suppliers to make sure they're holding up their end of the bargain. Audits can happen on-site, face-to-face, or they can just be a review of your paperwork. And of course, you have the big, high-stakes accreditation audits versus the smaller interim checkups to make sure you're staying on course.
So now that we know the what and the why, let's get into the how. What does an internal audit actually look like? What are the moving parts from start to finish?
Well, it follows this really clear 5-step cycle. It all kicks off with the calendar, planning out what gets audited and when over the whole year. From there, you make a specific plan for each audit. Step 3 is the main event, actually conducting the audit. Afterwards, it all gets written up in the official report. And finally, the most critical step of all, taking action and following up.
A good audit calendar, like the one you see here, is pretty much the backbone of the whole quality program. It makes sure that every critical piece of the operation gets looked at regularly, usually at least once a year. This isn't about random gotcha moments. It's a planned, systematic way to make sure nothing important slips through the cracks.
So once the audit's done, the report becomes the official record. And this is a serious document. It has to lay out all the key details: the scope, the plan, and of course, a clear summary of any deviations found. And you've got to remember, external auditors always ask to see your internal audit reports, so getting this right is your proof that you're on top of your own quality. This brings us to our final section. And honestly, this is the whole point of the entire exercise. Finding a problem, that's the easy part. The real, meaningful work starts when it's time to fix it.
So, you've done the audit, you've got the report, and there it is, a deviation. Something isn't quite right, it doesn't match the procedure. So, what happens now? This is the moment of truth. This is where a good organization really shows its commitment to getting better.
The goal is never a quick patch-up job. It's about making sure that this problem is fixed for good. And you do that with a process called CAPA. That stands for Corrective and Preventive Actions. It's all about digging down to the root cause of why it happened so you can make sure it never ever happens again.
And you do this with a really structured plan. You don't just say, we'll fix it. You write down what went wrong. Then you figure out the underlying cause. That's the most important part. Then you decide on an action to fix it now and another to prevent it in the future. You put someone's name on it, you give it a deadline, and you schedule a follow-up. Every piece is there to make sure it actually gets done.
And here's how we close the loop. The job isn't done when the fix is in place. Nope. The job is done when a future audit comes along and confirms, hey, that fix worked. The problem is really gone. That's what turns the audit from a one-time event into a powerful, continuous cycle of improvement.
So let me leave you with this final thought. We spend so much time talking about all the things an audit finds that are wrong. But what if we flipped that? What if the most valuable discovery an audit can make isn't a problem at all, but a hidden strength? A process where your team is just knocking it out of the park. What would change if we saw every audit as a chance to find that brilliance, and then celebrate it and share it with everyone?